Guys, I'm back with the second part of my best of 2016 video, and I will talk about rank 20 to 11 today. And like I said in my introduction, it's very mixed. It's a very subjective list, which is comprised of superhero stuff, graphic novel stuff, collected editions, miniseries, whatever I liked, whatever touched me, whatever made me think in a new way, or just look at things in a different way in the past year, has found a place in this ranking. And I will start this video with Dave McKean's latest work. It's Black Dog, The Dreams of Paul Nash. Paul Nash is an artist, so this is a monography, biography on the artist Paul Nash. I won't talk too much about this book because I made a video about it, which you should check out. Just look into my channel or Google it, Black Dog, World's Comic Book Channel. I talked at length about the strengths of this book, but of course I can show you the strengths, which are definitely in its graphical or artistic approach, which is, if you don't know, Dave McKean is great. It's this mixed techniques and mixed media approach, which is fascinating, I think. Yeah, the story also resonated with me. I'm very much interested in history right now, especially the two world wars, the European ones, and this is a story which is very much defined by the First World War, and a person who's very much defined by the First World War, and I think it's great in its format too. You can really dive into those images, and it's highly recommended. Alright, next up is another book that I have talked about already. It's by one of my favorite cartoonists, Chester Brown, and it's called Mary Wept Over the Feet of Jesus. In this one, Chester Brown explores stories from the Bible which have a connection to one of his main topics of late, which is prostitution. And in general, the role of the woman and the role of sex workers. And he looks for, I would say, for the beginnings of documentation regarding sex work and how people or women involved in sex work were seen. So you have, this is the comic, and those are the annotations. So you can see he's really a scholar of this topic, and the book is it's not my favorite Chester Brown, I have to say, but it's still in its thoroughness is very interesting. And if you want to know more about it, I suggest you watch the video that I made on Chester Brown, in which I also talk more thoroughly about this book here. So this is rank 19. Rank 18, we move from the Bible to the Roman times with Britannia, which is a new Peter Milligan penned story for Valiant Comics. So Valiant Comics, I talked about in my first video already. They have this shared superhero universe, and this at least in the first miniseries doesn't have any kind of connection to all this superhero stuff. It's basically historical horror story in which a Roman detective has to travel to a faraway place called Britannia, for the Romans already very much out there, and in this place something eerie is lurking, something is waiting for him, a dark force. I found this to be a very, probably the best Peter Milligan story that I've read in a long time. And it also helps that the art is by Juan Jose Ripe. You may know him from a lot of work he did for Avatar Press. So he's known for his more gory, gruesome, but also realistic art. And the colors are by Jordi Belair. You wouldn't necessarily see it at the first glance. It's a different style she uses here, and some people liked it, some didn't. I liked it. It becomes quite muddy when it goes to certain to certain areas of the story, when it gets darker. And yeah, here's some blood for you. So it's not a nice and cute story at all. It's very graphic, but it's also very interesting. If you're into Roman society and Roman history, you also get, towards the end of each issue, you get a little write-up, an article on a topic which was featured in the story. So you can learn something from it, you can get entertained through it, and it's really, really good comics. $4 each. The trade paperback was announced. You should get it. All right, next up is a very fresh entry. I just finished it yesterday, and it climbed into the charts. It's Clean Room by Gail Simone. I only read the first volume. I thought it to be one of the best horror stories that I've read in the past years. I still don't know if I will like it just as much as volume 2 or just as much 3 months from now. This is why it's ranked where it's ranked. But I was really blown away by its sheer complexity, weirdness, and rhythm. And I think I have read some Gail Simone stuff. I couldn't tell you what. I might have read a few Batgirl issues and her Red Sonja from Dynamite, which was okay. But this was really top-notch stuff. The art by John Davis Hunt is fantastic. It's also kind of art which I always like. It's more linear clear. The faces, the facial expressions are very spot on. The consistency in the faces and the characters is fantastic. You will always recognize who's who, even with three almost siblings, I think, three brothers who look the same. Everyone has a little trait, and you will always know who's who. So this is really fine work by Mr. Davis Hunt. I think, I'm not sure, but I think he's the partner of Warren Ellis in the new Wildstorm series, which was announced. I'm not completely sure. If so, I can't wait for it even more now, because I really love the art here. Sorry. So what's the story about? Really, really hard to explain. Firstly, the first thing that pops into mind is that it's, of course, referencing Scientology, the Scientology Church. It's about a cult and its leader, and the leader is Astrid Müller, a German-born citizen who's now living in LA and has built some kind of a cult. But we learn that this cult of hers is not just a money-making rip-off, but she probably really has this second view, or I don't know how you call it, this different view on the world, on people, and she sees something which, and this is really, really the horror part about it, which almost nobody else can see in the world. There are other beings out here with us, right behind me right now. You can't see it, but Astrid could. And it's yeah, it's a really creepy story. It's very well told, and it's fantastically drawn. So there is no reason not to check it out. Clean Room by Gail Simone. Alright, next up is Symmetry. Again, a book I have talked previously about in a video. I made an extra video on this. Symmetry by Top Cow/Image Comics. It's by Matt Hawkins and Raphael Yanko. And I was blown away by the first volume. I thought it was one of the most intelligently put together high concept sci-fi. It's about a future society which is organized in a very different fashion from ours. I won't say more. Like I said, there is a video which is solely focused on this, and you should check it out if you want to find out more about it. The second volume, I haven't quite finished. It wasn't as strong as the first one, but even if you only read the first one, it's very thought-provoking, and it's a $10 book, so you can't do much wrong. Now I will do something which I normally wouldn't, because this is only for my German-speaking friends. I think in French it's also released already, but it's not available in the States. It's by German cartoonist Aisha Franz. She released with Drawn&Quarterly up until now, so I really hope for you guys that Shit is Real, her newest graphic novel, will be released in the States soon. I liked it very much. It's what you would call an art school kind of comic. It's autobio with magical realism, and it's dealing with a girl or a woman, young woman, who lives by herself and who's alone, and who goes through a transformational phase in her development, and who starts to experience, let's say, magical, or not magical, sounds like fantasy, like just surreal. She has surreal experiences who creep into her life, and synchronicity effects, stuff is happening which feels like deja vus, and it's like a Vertigo effect. You go into this book and you wander through it, not randomly. So it's not like this kind of, yeah, let's put something surreal on the page and the reader has to find out what it's about. It's really, you always stay with a character and you explore through her mind this this life of hers, which is set slightly into the future, but it's not very far away. It's like maybe 5 years from now. We are even more dependent on social media and stuff, and we don't have time for friends and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool. I also love the art. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I loved it. So yeah, like I said, I really hope this will get released very soon in English language. Next up, I don't know where we're now at. I think at 16 or 15 already. Next up is, it's not Island, the anthology series, but it's a very special story out of Island, which is called The Ancestor. And it's by Matt Sheenan and Malachi Ward. Malachi Ward has also released a graphic novel this year collecting some of his stories. This is drawn by him, but it's written, I think, by both of them together. I don't know how they really work together. I think Malachi Ward had the idea, and then he worked on the story with Matt Sheenan, but I think he drew it alone. There is a little mini comic. If you Google Ancestor and Malachi Ward, you will find it. It's a Tumblr page with a mini comic where they really talk about how they cooperated on it. But having said that, what is this story about? It was serialized in Island for, I think, 4 issues. and I think it was the best thing out of Island. I got the first 10 issues or so, and this was my favorite story in it. And it's again a story not very far away from from Shit Is Real by Aisha Franz. So it's set in the future, not very far away from now, where everything you're connected to the web. You're connected to a hive mind kind of institution or service, and this institution or service helps you moderate yourself. So if you're anxious or if you have any kind of issues, you're helped by this service. It moderates your bodily functions. It does stuff for you. It becomes something like your second soul, maybe. And this is how the story starts. There's this young guy who has these issues with himself, and who gets invited to a secret party, kind of a secret party, secret society. And at this party, a new update is gonna be revealed for this service. 2.2.0 update, and I won't spoil what the update is, but it's really, really intense. It's a very intense story, which feels, in a strange way, much more contemporary than it is. It is sci-fi, of course, but it feels so real. It's very much like a Black Mirror episode, though a very good one. And I love the art, and it was released as a graphic novel, so you don't have to get the Island issues, single issues. You can just buy it in graphic novel format. And it was very much under the radar, and I think it's one of the strongest graphic novels of the year. If you liked thoughtful sci-fi stuff or Black Mirror stuff, you should get it. All right, now on to more mainstream stuff. First up is Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire and a bunch of different artists. James Stocco, Francisco Francavilla, and Mr. Smallwood, I forgot his first name. So this is another relaunch of Moon Knight by Marvel, but this one might be the best one yet. I haven't read the first trade. I started the series with number 6, and I was blown away. It's about Mark Spector. If you don't know Moon Knight, it's Mark Spector, who I don't know the origin for sure. There is some connection to a mythical god, an Egyptian god, I think Vishnu, who gave him the powers, but I forgot how it happened, if he was in Egypt or however, how he met this god. And through those powers, he became this Caped Crusader. But the interesting aspect of Moon Knight is he has like a split personality, and this is something which Jeff Lemire really goes deep into, and I think in a very successful way. And you can see it here how he does it. So this story is happening in three different layers of reality, which intertwine with each other, but then also go their own separate ways. There is one story is set in Hollywood, where our main hero is a producer of a film. Another one is a sci-fi epic in space, and the third one, what was the third one? I think the third one is the normal Mark Spector, his everyday persona. So and this character gets torn from one reality into the other one. And I told you this reality jumping thing, this Philip K. Dickish reality jumping motive is one of my favorite ones in every form of literature and comics. So I thought this was a very, very strong effort by Lemire, and it continues to be so. And the art is fantastic, and you should definitely check it out. All right, next up is even more mainstream. It's part of DC Rebirth, and it's the highest ranking DC Rebirth book. For me, it's Detective Comics by James Tynion, the fourth, and mostly drawn by, is it Mr. Barrows? I think Barrows is the main artist. The weird thing and the great thing about this is that you hardly spot the difference in the artwork. They have found a bunch of people. Eddie Barrows is the main artist, who have quite a similar art style. So you're not thrown off every 2 weeks because everything looks different. And the first, I don't know, couple of issues, I wasn't completely sold on it. It's a very Tynion writes a very wordy script, and it's not very action oriented, but more psychological. But after I grew into the story and got to know the characters a little bit better, this became my favorite superhero book. And I will repeat it. This is for me what I expect of X-Men. You know, it's like a group of outsiders who try their best to serve the people, but they have a hard time doing it. And there is a lot of personal drama which goes into it. One of the stories, this one, The Victim Syndicate, is about victims of Batman's past, people who were victimized through Batman's actions because they were standing at the wrong place at the wrong time and got hurt, or someone from their families or friends, and they want to take revenge not only on Batman but on all of his allies. So it's about guilt, it's about doing the right thing, moral questions, but also fantastic art. I'm so impressed how they can keep up this level of artistry every 2 weeks. This is my favorite, not only Batman book, but really my favorite superhero book, I think, right now. And yeah, it's really cool. If you wanna sample something from DC Rebirth, you should grab Detective Comics. All right, and lastly, on spot 11, we have a book I have already talked a little bit about in my haul video. It's Mezolith. This is the German edition by Crosskalt. You can also get it by Boom Comics, though I don't know the dimensions. I don't know if it's that big like mine here. But it would help if it would be, because this is very much a European graphic novel, and you can see it here. A lot of panels on a page, and it really helps because the art is very detailed to have a big format to go with it. I think the art is fantastic, especially for someone who's not regular comic artist, namely Adam Brockbank. It's written by Ben Hagarty, and they have their background not in comics but more in theater and design, I think, production design. So okay, it's close. It's close to home, to storytelling, to symbolism, to telling through images and moods, but it's still not comics. And I think very often non-professionals tend to forget how the medium works, that it's not illustration with a little bit of text in it. And not those guys. They really know how to pace a story. And what is it about? Well, it's a throwback into prehistoric times. And the interesting aspect about this collection of short vignettes is that it really tries to get into the skin of those people and look at the world through their eyes and understand the world through their mythical thinking. So you could call it magical realism. This is what it would be if it would be a contemporary story. But when at the time when this happens, this is the only form of realism that there is. So there is nothing magical about it. This is how they experience the world. And we really forget this all the time. We think, yeah, they made up this story to explain whatever. No, they didn't make up anything. It is what it was. It was the only way to experience things, to view the world, was in a very different manner. For us, it looks like a story, or it looks like, oh, I will show you something which is a bit weird. Let's put it this way. Yeah, I think this is why I liked it so much. That it's not judging from the outside or saying, oh, look at those people, how they build their myths to explain whatever. A very scientific or pseudo-scientific, in my opinion, way of looking at things. I think if you want to understand something about anything, but especially about past times, you have to get into the skin of those people living in those times and look at their world through their eyes. All right. This is the last book for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, there's a comments field. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with my top 10 tomorrow. Until then, have a nice day. Bye bye.